Hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith to another custom Magic the Gathering card review, and today we're reviewing a card by Shadowreign called Adverse by the Enigmatic. That's a little bit of a strange name. I don't really... Okay, I gotta kind of figure out what that means. I mean, I know what Enigmatic means, but these words put together, Adverse by the Enigmatic. Alright, let's just define Adverse. In adversity, I know that. Preventing success or development, harmful, unfavorable. Okay, so to prevent success or development by the enigmatic, so by like the mysterious, essentially, right? Because I think enigmatic is enigmatic. Yeah, difficult to interpret or understand, mysterious, right? I see. So it's like hinder something by being mysterious. I have to say, this one doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. I think you were hitting your thesaurus a little too hard on this one, but okay, that's all right. We'll move on. All right, so we got a blue-red card, instant, uncommon. Let's see what we got here. Choose one. Counter target spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards you own in exile. Okay, we're doing the exile thing. Return target non-land permanent with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards you own in exile to its owner's hand. Okay. So let's consider this card. So, okay, we haven't... So we just saw... Again, it's funny because you know, I recently reviewed the set by Arceus. I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it was all about exile, right? And in that review, I mentioned, I was like, you know, the exile thing, like, I've seen a lot of people mess around with that space, except for Wizards. So I'm like, you know, it seems to be like a common thing to mess around with. Now, don't get me wrong, Wizards does a lot of exiling things, but you know, let me rephrase what I said there, so you understand my meaning. I'm not saying Wizards doesn't do like mess with exile. What am I trying to say? Okay, Wizards does a lot of crazy things with exile, right? They do like exile a top card of your library, you can play it. You know, exile an opponent's card, you can play it. You know, exile a card with an X counter, exile a card with foretell, right? There's all these types of things, but they don't really like reward you for having cards in exile specifically, if that makes sense, or caring about the cards you have in exile. Usually what they do is they exile things sort of anything that interacts with an exiled card is sort of specific. It's not a generic interaction with cards in the exile zone. It's more of a specific interaction, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I hope you understand what I'm getting at there. So anyway, this particular design space I've seen explored a lot with these custom cards, but not so much with Wizards. So it makes me wonder if it's something that should be done. But I'm not going to hold that against this card. I think that's more of an opinion thing. I think I would assume that Wizards is under the opinion of that's generally not something that they would do. I mean, there's some cards that like care about like having instants or sorceries in exile, right? Like specific cards in exile, but not just generally number of cards in exile. Anyway, so this card, if you have no cards in exile, this card doesn't do anything. Literally does nothing. I guess it can counter a 0 mana spell, and it can return a. I guess that's not true. So it can return like a token or something. It can kill like a token. So I mean, how good this card is heavily is determined by how many cards you're able to get into exile. This is very similar to Drown in the Lock. Scryfall, Drown in the Lock. Choose one. Counter target spell with converted mana cost less than, or sorry, I'll read it from here. Counter target spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. Destroy target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. I guess it's a little different because it's not your graveyard, it's somebody else's graveyard. But what's happening in this picture, by the way? Like what's she holding on to there? Is it like a? I can't quite. What's with his art? Oh, this is. It looks like, oh, I see. It's fish arms grabbing her. Okay, it took me a minute to it took me a minute to figure that out. Okay, it's like merfolk arms or whatever grabbing her. All right, we got that out of the way. So it's a little bit like that, and how good this card is obviously depends heavily on how many cards you're able to exile. If you're sort of like occasionally exiling, this card's pretty bad because you're only able to counter cheap spells with it. I mean, okay, in order for this card to sort of break even, you need to have at least 2 cards exiled. And what I mean by break even is mana-wise, right? So you're paying 2 mana to counter something that costs 2. It's not generally what you want out of a counter spell, right? You want to get some mana value out of your counter spell. And especially bounce effects, like, you know, okay, I can bounce like a two mana value card. I mean, that's pretty bad. So at 3, you can counter a 3 mana card. So you are now gaining a mana advantage, but you're still very inflexible. You're not really able to counter like it. I don't know how well this counter clause scales with the pace of the game. And so what I mean by that is like, okay, if let's say you're on the draw and, you know, turn 1, your opponent plays a 1-drop and turn 1, you're able to somehow exile a card. Okay. Turn 2, they play a 2-drop. And now turn 2, you can't counter their 3-drop, obviously. So maybe you exile another thing, and now turn 3, they play a 3-drop, and now you can still only counter 2-drops, right? So it's like this seems quite limiting. At least like this basically, as it stands right now, this is more of a late game this is more of a late game effect that you wouldn't normally use in the early game, right? You just wouldn't be able to unless your opponent plays off curve. Even on the play, so like on the play, let's think about this. Turn 1, exile something somehow. I don't know how, but let's say you do, right? And then so now you can counter a 1 cost. Okay? They go to their step, they play a 1-drop. Okay? Now it's your turn. You can leave mana up to counter a 1-drop, but they've already played one. So now you have to exile another card. And now they go to their turn, they play a 2-drop. And presumably you don't have mana up because you had to spend some mana exiling or something. And next turn, so you're still sort of outpaced by the number of cards that, or excuse me, you're still in the early game. This counter thing doesn't really do much. It seems to me, like, unless there's like some way to exile like multiple cards, like if there's like a 1 mana card that exiles like 2 cards at least, then you can start getting this thing going, and maybe that is a thing. But you have to go really hard on the exile thing. So again, it's hard to know without seeing like the enablers for this, essentially, right? The bounce clause, I mean, kind of the same thing. Yeah, I mean, once you have a lot of things exiled, then this is just a very flexible card. You know, I think most of the time you'll be using it for the counter. And rarely for the bounce, because the counter is a 1-for-1, whereas the bounce is a, you know, it's card negative for you. You don't, you know, it's card disadvantage. So unless you're able to get some value out of like bouncing them before they put an aura on or whatnot. So yeah, I don't think this card's particularly good. And I don't know. I mean, this card isn't particularly unique, really. I mean, it's it's just a modal card that has 2 modes. Also, there's really no red effect on this card. I mean, both of these effects are blue. So yeah, it seems a little strange that this is a blue-red card. Maybe like one possibility, and again, like I don't really know what the enablers look like, so it's hard to know like how quickly you're able to get cards in exile. But like, one possible version of this I could see that might satisfy all of my issues is, counter target spell unless its controller pays X, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. Okay. And then second mode, deal X damage to target creature, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. Maybe the first mode is like counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays X, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. And this is deal X damage to a creature, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. I mean, could be pretty powerful, again, depending. In the late game, that's quite powerful. It essentially it deals with creatures or with non-creatures, so maybe that's too good. But anyway, something like that, I think would work, because right now this is just a mono blue card basically. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I think this one I'll give. So you got perfect presentation here. I find the name to be a little displeasing. I don't know. It's just. I mean, I get it now, but adverse by the Enigmatic. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. It's not exactly fun to say. Yeah, I think this one gets a 5 out of 10 for me. I just don't like a lot of what I'm seeing here. Yeah. So like, I don't know. There's like kind of a sweet spot where this card is good, but not too good. And it's going to be difficult to hit that sweet spot, I feel like. Like, either this card is bad or too good, the way it stands right now. And yeah, you got to really find that sweet spot. And, who knows? I mean, who knows if that's hit or not. I mean, if you can hit it, great. I mean, maybe it's not too good. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it could be. Like, if you're able to exile cards too quickly, then this basically becomes a 2-mana counter anything, which is too good, for sure. And again, the bounce clause, like, doesn't really... It's kind of weird that this bounce clause is here. I mean, you kind of need a red effect, and the bounce is just clearly worse than the counter aspect. I mean, obviously, like, if you got to deal with something on board, you got to deal with something on board, but you're not happy about doing it this way, that's for sure. And in red, you're going to have a lot of burn cards, so... Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10 on Adverse by the Enigmatic. Not a huge fan of this one in particular. But, still a fine card, so... yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.